What's up, digital world? It is win rate 0%. Welcome to a very happy new year, 2023.
Yes, woo woo, we are hyped. We are happy. It's so epic.
Yeah, welcome in. So, for those of you watching the video, you will see a little bit of a change. So, unfortunately, Jason has decided to step down from card games at the moment. And as a result of that, he didn't want to put himself into the podcast when he wasn't able to give up-to-date sort of commentary and stuff like that. So he's decided to step down for some time, but we very much love you, Jason. But taking his place is another very good friend of ours, a Mr. Bryce.
Hello, I'm Bryce. I play garbage decks like Hina's Army, and I talk a lot of crap.
Yeah!
Mm-hmm. That's what you need for a podcast, though, right? You need people like us and Jason to talk lots of shite.
Listen,
so that people have something to listen to.
Between the three of us, we make one decent, competent player for the game, so I think it'll be fine. But yeah,
man, you're underwriting us, Adam. We're epic pro card game players.
No, you're an epic pro card game player. I'm just a filthy travels for compensation judge. Judge. But yeah, welcome in, guys. Again, happy new year. Excited to start the new year. We've got the Digimon finals coming up at the end of February, which is going to be a super exciting time for us all. I'm going to be going. A bunch of us will be going. I don't know if you guys are going to be going. Are you?
Oh man, I wish I could go. Literally, I've even booked the ticket just for the event itself, and I got a message over the holiday season saying I have to do training over that date now. Oh. I'm actually going to check when I go back to work and see if I can get it moved, but I've got a strong feeling it'll be no, because it's something mandatory for my job, so...
Unfortunately.
I probably won't be going either, because college stuff will be in the way of it.
That's fair, but
yeah, it's a lot of effort to get there, man.
Yeah.
Bremen in Germany, like, that's where the European one is, so we're going to have to do a lot of travelling. But are you getting, like, a connecting flight as well, Adam?
Yeah, so I'm flying from Glasgow to London, then London to Bremen, which is going to be fine, but it's the when I'm coming back on the Monday, it's a 6 a.m. flight to Amsterdam and then on to Glasgow. It's either that, or I get a flight in the morning to London and then wait 7 to 8 hours in the airport for the next flight. And I was like, I'm no doing that. Airports make my mental health just go down the toilet, so I'm not a fan. Especially when I won't be taking like a Switch or anything with me. I'm just gonna be taking like a change of clothes.
I actually love airports, man. Controversial take, but see, sitting in an airport gaming, you know, spend like a couple hours. I mean, if you spend longer than 3 hours there, that's when you start to...
Aye, so mine's about 8 hours. But
that's too much, man. That's
way too much.
But yeah,
I'll explore London for a wee bit.
Yeah, London too many times at this point. But yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the finals in the next episode. But for this episode, guys, we're going to be talking about sort of the state of Digimon as a card game as a whole. It's been out now for about 3 years and a month or two if you're really counting. We've had a lot of sets released. We've had 10 official sets and 3 extra sets, I guess call them. Not to mention a whole host of starter decks, promos, products, and tournaments. And we thought it would be good to kick off the new year with sort of a state of the game as it is at the moment. What sort of the community is feeling, not necessarily other YouTubers or anything like that, but just sort of the general consensus. And we'll talk a bit about the meta, how it's shaping up. And then when we go into the next episode, we'll talk a bit about finals and what our meta predictions are, as well as talking about BT11, which is coming out in early March. February.
It's kind
February
of
11th.
February it's coming out, because I think the finals are based around the 20th, and I think it's due to come out literally the week before.
Yeah.
So how could that possibly go wrong? I'm just imagining people, it gets delayed in the UK like it has happened many times, and then people are flying to Bremen buying singles. I'll be buying uncommon Etamons for £5 each if I go over there or something like that, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, lead the way, Cobb.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, we're going to just do the usual kind of meta discussion here. Once again, shout out to your man GMXPO on Reddit doing God's work, creating roundups for all the statistics we've got in the meta. It's been pretty stagnant, to be honest, guys, because there's not been a lot going on in December, and I think everybody can agree that locals tend to wind down a bit around that time. People can't be arsed leaving their house because it's bloody freezing, dark, and rainy up here in Scotland. So we'll go from the bottom to the top this time, and we'll leave the exciting reveal for what the top deck is. What could it possibly be? Nobody knows. So if we go down to the Rogue deck tier status, this is decks that have had very little play. They've taken a couple of top 16s, but they're not really showing up much when you see them. It's a bit strange. So we've actually got, I'll go through all of them. Gallantmon has had a couple. We've got D Brigade. Hold on a minute here. D Brigade, is that an error?
He's seen his boys.
Is that an error? What the
No.
hell? D Brigade's apparently Rogue, even though I could have sworn it said like 4 tops this set. Armor Rush and Blue Flare have all been in the Rogue tier deck status, and it's a bit strange to see something like Blue Flare down there. I've seen at our locals at least multiple Blue Flare tops, and the deck can do some sick things. What do we think is keeping it back?
I think the thing that's holding Blue Flare back is that it was surprised people for about 2 weeks, and then everyone went, "Oh, I know how to play around this now." So it takes a really skilled Blue Flare player to get it going properly.
I mean, also, like, with the stuff that's higher up, I just don't think it does anything. Like, it
This is
requires
the
your
thing,
opponent to
yeah.
put 2 bodies on board. If they just don't put 2 bodies on board, it's pretty hard to do your whole game plan, and you just get messed around.
Yeah, pretty much, to be fair. I mean, I think it's because of the OTK matchups are so bad, like you say. People can play around it. Everybody knows now, do not have multiple bodies on the board against Blue Flare, and you should be alright. Armor Rush is still sticking in there. Armor Rush had a bit of a resurgence when Cross Fart was kicking off, but it's still a powerful deck, can do some interesting stuff, and I actually really value, fast decks can steal wins from people, no matter the meta, because, you miss 1 turn, 2 turn in your OTK, and Armor Rush is going to run you down. D Brigade being this low, quite surprised, guys, quite surprised, to be honest. I have been fumbling about with the new D Brigade stuff, and I'm still undecided if it's actually better than just playing 20 to 25 rookies and full sending it with 8 bombs in your deck. Because when you're running the deck in that way, you do get a free win against decks like Metal Garurumon. But it's interesting to say the least that it's not been doing so well, considering it's had a couple of decent responses in the recent tournaments. So that being down there as a surprise. Gallantmon being at Rogue, it's just, Gallantmon does some really powerful things, but I think it's not as consistent, maybe not as powerful, and it's a bit slower than a lot of the other OTK decks. Like, why would you play a Gallantmon if you can just play a Metal Garuru or like a War Grey X, which is also doing bits this set?
Yeah, the problem with not Metal Garurumon, what were we talking about? Fucking Gallantmon? God's sake. The problem with Gallantmon is that I think there's 2 problems with it. Like you said, there's better decks out there, but it's not an OTK deck, it's a control deck. And it dies it's got 0 protection effects, not even an option card to protect it. So as soon as it dies to a bomb, which a lot of people are running now, then it's gone and it needs to start again. I think when, I don't know which set it is in the future, when the new Gallantmon stuff comes out, let's say new Gallantmon stuff, there's been Gallantmon stuff for the past 7 sets. But when that,
we're
when
getting
that,
them as like
yeah.
the next 3 sets in a row after BT11 have got Gallantmon support. It's going to be nuts.
I think it's going to be a little bit better because there's another Warping Guilmon that does a lot of cool stuff that I think will be super handy. But for now, I agree. I think there's better decks out there. Although Gallantmon is a fan favorite for everyone.
Yeah,
it has a little bit of the blue hybrid the blue flare problem as well. Of like, if your opponent doesn't have something for you to kill, you lose half of your effects.
Yeah,
this is it, man.
And against the OTKs, they've got nothing on board. So
yeah, because they never pull out. This is the issue, man. They're making lots of kids because they never pull out. Like that is a massive issue. But do you know that it's actually ridiculous?
Oh.
One of my best
knew
friends
it.
plays Gallantmon all the time, and it's honestly so ridiculous the stuff the deck can do. But like you say, it's just a bit of an issue in the current meta because the gimmick of the deck, if you don't know, is blowing up boards based on DP, so they like to blow up wide things. But see, like War Growlmon X, that effect is bloody ridiculous. It's like for 0, you can nuke 6k off the board, and you can easily boost that to like 8k for 0. It's just nuts, man. But there's maybe it's suffering because there's not things like D Brigade and armor popping off. It's all like, if you look at the top 5 that we'll get onto later, it is entirely stack decks. So the only thing that they have against it is that, you know, they can pop up the Hydrussi boards when they go wide with the plant life.
Yep.
So if we move on to the tier 3, we've got Grandees at the bottom. Alphamon actually making its way into tier 3 somehow. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's only been like 2 Alphamon tops this set since the ban list. But it's cool to see it still, and I'm pretty happy that, you know, the deck's still
It's
playable.
still a really strong deck. It's got so many different effects that, yes, it's lost its OTK potential, but it's gained a lot because it's forced people to go, oh, let's maybe use some of the other cards that Alphamon has, and turns out they're just as good in a different way.
Yeah, it's a wee bit more controlly. It's less OTK based. You can set up nutty swing turns, but the fact that Doro Grey is limited just means that it's so much harder for you to get these big swings off. It does have to play a lot more slower. I've actually played a fair wee bit of it myself with I literally just net decked one of the top-end lists just to play it because I have no knowledge of the deck really. I never played it. And it's still a lot of fun. It's just, you have to think so much harder as well because there's so many different options. Almost every card in your hand is live to play at any time, so you have to think what it is you need, what can you play. But yeah, it's good that it's seen a couple of tops at least. Examon is up next. Examon has, I believe it did win one event. It might have even been the first or second event of this set. Examon topped. A lot of hype surrounding the deck. Examon is a fan favourite. Adam's done a deck list for it on the Scots TCG channel, if you're listening on YouTube as well.
Yeah, like I played it and tested it a bit, but I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Now, no surprise there that I'm not a big fan of a blue deck, but I am a big fan of green deck, so I was hoping to find some sort of balance, but it feels too... It's trying to do too much at any one time, and you just end up kind of falling on your face and just having a bunch of level 4s out that don't really do anything other than draw you cards or block the occasional attack.
Yeah, it's quite a perfect storm deck. What were you going to say, Bryce?
It is that. It's when you get the full stack going, it's amazing. And if you get those 1 or 2 games, it will just blow out the opponent, but it doesn't happen like ever.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's way too inconsistently.
It just needs some more consistency pieces. I mean, the other thing with it is it probably doesn't do so well into something like a set control. Because I mean, although the evade mechanic does prevent you from being deleted, it's not quite the same all-powerful protection that your Greymons have. Where, I mean, they can prevent them from being destroyed or returned to hand. Evade's literally like if you're going to be destroyed by an effect, or it's just in general, innit? If your Digimon's about to be destroyed, you can tap it.
Yeah, if they're about to be deleted, tap it to prevent it. And what happens with that is you try and kill it, it taps itself, then you swing over it with something else.
Yep, the Exam one I think lets you unsuspend, right? I'm going to try building it myself. But I mean, I'm slowly trading my way into 4 Examons. I'm not in any rush to collect them because, I mean, my big issue going into BT11 is I've got too many decks I want to play. I've genuinely built and tested about 5 different decks. It's going to be hype to say the least. So other than Examon, something that's actually surprised the hell out of me, dedicated Dorbrickmon lists are actually doing, they're eating good, all things considered.
What is a Dorbrickmon list then? Like, I'm so confused.
Right. Well, I believe... Gamma? Nah, so it's basically, there's cards that are dedicated, that have been printed to support him directly. I've not actually read a whole lot of them, I'm not really well experienced in them, but you've got cards like the Sunnerizamon that lets you search for the Dragon Source Ceratopsian cards. What's the lizard? There's a bloody level 4 lizard as well, isn't there? The printed.
Flare Riser when you've got the trait and you draw and swing.
Yeah, so it's basically just decks that are dedicated to building the boy himself and trying to make him get a lot of value. Another thing I've seen is Black War Grey has done Sweet F all this set. It's literally not even on the oh no, actually I'm chatting crap. This is the thing, like when I'm reading this list, literally the one above Dobrikmon is Gaiomon. And I'm not calling it Gaiomon, it's Black War Greymon, man. He's the main guy. Gaiomon literally says on the card, like, I am Black War Greymon. But that's fair enough. Like, Gaiomon's also taken Dobrikmon, and
What?
I've seen a couple of So I've seen a couple of topping lists that runs Dobrikmon, and it also runs. I honestly, I was so surprised to see it, but for some reason it's running. You know the ancient ass Agumon that gives you inherited when you attack a player, gain 2k.
Oh,
and
the
there's
starter
a Greymon
deck
hits
one?
the same one. Yeah, they're running that instead of the old one because you don't get the free 2k off the promo Agumon. So some Black War Greys are running that.
That feels bad. I was already dubious when they started taking in a fucking Ragnarlordmon. But Dobrikmon?
It's so funny though.
Well, the reason they're taking Ragnarlord in is actually because of Dobrik. Because you easily Black War Grey is very hard to out. So you end your board on a Black War Greymon, and then you Dobrik for 3, and then you Ragnarlord. And if you Ragnarlord in a game successfully, it's pretty much extend hand territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with 85 million sources.
So yeah, exactly, man. So it's quite interesting, to be honest. Blue-Green Imperial is actually in Tier 3 status. The cockroach of Digimon, as I always call it. It's impossible to truly get rid of it. It's constantly there.
Yeah.
The D-Brigade player telling another deck that they're the cockroach.
God, what do you mean? D-Brigade died for like 5 sets. D-Brigade came out in BT4 and did nothing till like BT9, man. It's so sad.
I've not got anything against Blue-Green Imperial anymore. Like, I used to despise it because it was just so overpowered, but it doesn't. It's just attracted a kooky little bunch of players that go, oh, I like to jogress my Digimon, fuck your guys, and then they're just sound as fuck now. Yeah,
this is the thing, man. Like the creep in Digimon is moving in such a place that Imperial, you're looking at it now and going, well, that's kind of balanced now, to be honest. Like that. It feels like, I said this the other day to one of my friends, it's like Syndrome from The Incredibles. If everything is broken, nothing is broken. Because they're all doing ridiculous stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, every deck has crazy unfair elements to it now. It feels like the card design is based around, right, what nuts mechanic can we give this deck? And it makes it a lot more fun and interesting, to be fair, so I can't really complain about
that.
Yeah. Mastermon is doing some bits. That's also in Tier 3. And in the top of Tier 3, Bryce will be overjoyed. Yellow Hybrid.
But it's Tier 3 though.
I know, but it's top of Tier 3, man. It's close to Tier 2.
But if you go onto Reddit and check out what's their name again?
Reddit.com.
GMXPO. They put out an English competitive Digimon 2022 overview, and since Yellow Hybrid's release, it has stayed in the meta relevance. It's been top twice, and it just stays at the top of the sort of the meta list. Even with it getting hit a couple of times, it's still so powerful, which I think is super cool. I wish they would ban Metal Garurumon X, because it's sat at the top since it came out, and it's not even close, and it's a bit obnoxious.
Yeah, man, we'll talk about that in a little minute once we've bashed through the Tier 2s, but big shout out, lots of respect for Bryce, man, because this man brought Yellow Hybrid to the BT9 regionals, man. When it was like unplayable. It's like if I look at the list here, it's not even on BT9, it's not even visible, and this man brought it, and it is the only format it was unplayable. And this is the one the man brought it to.
It's mid Tier 3 in BT9. They've put it as next to.
It was red. Mad. It was Wargrey X is terrible.
Red Yellow Hybrid in Tier 3.
It was so bad, but it was great. It was so bad.
Yeah, red Yellow Hybrid. Then it went back to being just Yellow Hybrid. It was never red. It was never
You remember
red
Magnet
yellow
one?
hybrid. It was yellow hybrid with some red cards, but it wasn't the red hybrid cards.
Well,
It
there's
was
no
Rise
reason to
Hybrid.
run. I was going to say there's no reason to run bloody red anymore, is there? Because there's no
No.
Sunrise Buster. So what's the point? What's your
Not
payoff for
anymore,
running the
but
red
there.
engine?
But don't forget, what's it called? Sunrise Gun or whatever is coming out. The Marcus specific card, I think, is really
Oh,
cool.
I'm
Aye.
looking so forward to that deck. That deck's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be
gonna build that. It looks fun.
That's so
I,
fun,
I know, looking far ahead for a second, but Shine Greymon Ruin mode looks so fucking cool.
It's so broken. What do you mean?
Aye, it is broke as hell, to be honest. It's going to be nutty.
My first ever deck was Shine Greymon, so I'm quite happy to revisit it.
Yeah, Shine Greymon was cracked, man. Like, I used to play... My first tournament
Of course, it was
BT4.
cracked.
That was
Before
I
time.
used to play in BT4, man, and that was like the top. That was the boogeyman of BT4.
It was the
It was not
boogeyman.
the Boogeyman of BT4.
It was the
That was
boogeyman
the
of
boogeyman.
It was
BT3.
Wargrey. It was Wargrey that was the
Yeah.
Boogeyman of BT4. Yellow Wargrey.
No, yeah, but Shine
Oh, you're
went.
right. What, man? It's another yellow Greymon. It's like the same guy.
But when Shine came out, because BT1 came out in November, technically BT2 and 3, they're all mashed together. But set 2 came out in, I think, February or March, and then there was a good 6 months before BT4 came out, so Shine Greymon was just... It was that was the only deck that ever saw relevance.
Yeah.
Because everything was a fucking vanilla, and they gave it the most broken effect in the game, which is DP reduction. It was either that, and then Nidhoggmon came out and went, okay, and then Wargrey started doing its stuff.
Good times, man.
Good times.
Right, so that's tier 3 done. It's a crazy mix so far. Now we're getting into the stuff that, you know, people expect to see. That it's all the obvious shit showing up now. So we've got, I mean, talking about that, we've got something that was a sleeper hit this set, Wargrey X, kicking about. It's went from bottom of tier 3 and BT9 all the way up to the 4th
10 decks
most
in
tops
top
this
16.
set. Yep, which is
What
just,
made
I
it so
think it's, I honestly think it's been because we're in an OTK format, right? I mean, well, it's not full OTK, you've got, you know, the Hydrossi and that, but people tech for OTK decks now. Like, everybody has to, if you don't just play like a handful of bombs, you're going to get walked over unless your deck inherently counters them. And literally, like, we found this at regionals as well when we went to London. The top standings were all decks that hard countered OTK, like your Setcon and Reapers and things like that. So I think the reason why it's rose is because the value of these security control lists have rose and rose, and now Wargrey X is an OTK deck that's a little bit slower than Melga, but it still has the same kind of punch, except it's also immune to option cards.
Yeah. That makes sense, I guess.
That's my crackpot theory, anyway. I just think it's crazy how it did so little in BT9. It's went all the way up to like 4th strongest deck. It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Such a jump.
definitely come back.
Yeah, and then just
I mean-
above that, we've got the Hydrossi in 3rd place.
Well, it's
Middle of tier 2.
actually, it's for some reason it's swapped around the statistic. It's security control first with 16 decks in top 16s. Then Bloomlord.
No clue, man. It must just be the over. I don't know, man. This was posted 2 weeks ago, and I'll be honest, I don't think there's even been much in the way of tournaments and stuff like that. So there's not going to be a great deal of difference, honestly.
We had
In fact, the statistics could even be the same. But Bloom Hydra, you know, biggest deck to come out at EX3. Everybody was expecting
Love
it
it.
to be the top deck.
So good.
It is crazy. Adam plays it, so I mean, you can just talk about it for a wee bit, Adam.
And I fucking love summoning shit, and no matter what game I play in, like, if any good gamers there have played Divinity Original Sin 2, I fucking love summoning. So, like, just being able to spam the board is so much fun. I've now fully minted out my Bloom Hydra deck until Rising Wind or RB1 comes out, in which I need to get the holo reprints or whatever. But, like, I love the deck so much. It just does exactly what you want to. It gains a shit ton of memory, and, like, it doesn't care about whatever you do. The only thing that really stands up to it is Setcon and Metal Garurumon, which they're higher on. Well, the Setcon's around about the same. Metal Garurumon.
Aye, they're pretty close, man. Metal Garudamon's sitting at the top of the
Yeah.
list right now.
But
I mean, Bloom Hydra's just crazy because of the amount of value it can generate.
yeah. And like
the crazy boards it makes.
Like the one thing that stops Bloom Hydra is a memory blocker, but it doesn't because the Bloom Hydra literally goes, cool, suspend your memory blocker, kill it, then I'll gain 65 memory. I think it's a really, really nutty deck, and I think it's going to continue being very strong for the foreseeable future as well.
It's another one of these decks they've printed where it just does a lot of inherently unfair stuff. Like, there's a lot of people complaining right now that Digimon, the creep in power is becoming a bit too much, because one of the things people always liked about the game was the memory system. And if you look at all the top decks, they all cheat the memory system in some way, or they like find a way to gain a lot of memory. Anyway, it's like typically when you first started playing the game, it's like, right, okay, we know what getting from a level 3 to a 6 is going to cost roughly. It's going to take them a couple of turns. But, you know, decks like Broom Hydra come out and they go, no, I suspend my guy. I pay a huge... talking about memory to suspend my guy. That's worth.
I can consistently get a Bloom Hydra with memory to spare on turn 2 without any problem whatsoever.
Which is just insane.
I agree. It is absolutely nuts.
The thing I find insane is, like, you're the only Hydra player I've seen at our locals. That's what I find really weird.
Yeah. Dylan was going to play it, but Dylan always says he's Mr. Green and then he moves on to something else. Like, he's a fake green enjoyer.
He should have listened in set 9 if he'd taken Grandies instead of what was it he took?
Mother. He took Mother. It was so funny, man. This is like a mutual friend of the pod here, Dylan. Like,
shout out to Dylan.
Shout out to Dylan, man.
Shout out Shekels.
He like, so literally a couple of days before we went to regionals, is like, Cobb, I don't know what to bring, man. Could bring Melga. I don't play it a lot, and I feel like when it misses, it's no great. Could bring Grandis, but I'm just sick of missing. Again, it's the OTK thing, and you play enough games where you don't see your pieces, and they're all on the bottom 15 cards of the deck. It's enough to want you to stop playing the game. And she's like, I can't be us playing that. And I was like, mate, you could bring Mother, right? And he went, Mother's playable. I was like, aye, Mother's good right now. It's a decent playable deck. It's had a couple of tops at the start of the format. And as soon as he heard that, it's like his eyes lit up, like the consistency through the roof. But the one issue that he had was that Mother decks have basically been cracked at this point, right? They play all white and they play Starmons. He had in his head that he wanted to play a yellow package in it.
Stuff, yeah.
And I was like, in theory, that sounds good, but the best thing about Mother is it's just uber consistent with the white cards.
Yeah.
So we found ourselves testing the night before this deck, and to be fair, he did get really unlucky on the day, but it didn't go too well for him. It was just like he was running like 8 bombs off the stack. He was seeing none in games, and then for some reason he was fighting Black War Greymon, which hard counters it because you can just attack over the Mother. And he was beating them. It was making he was playing in fucking lunatic land.
As the average Black War Greymon enjoyer, including myself, will tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than swinging into a Mother D Reaper while it's active.
Digimon enjoyer.
It is just so good.
There's another deck that's like, when it was out, everyone hated it, but because it's went like rogue status, like people don't really complain about it anymore.
I'll tell you exactly why nobody plays it anymore, because it can't get any better than it already is.
Yeah. That's it, man, and I don't see them printing direct support for it either.
Yeah, there might be. I mean, they're revisiting the Tamers. I mean, there's not very much, animes Digimon have put out there, so there's not a lot they can do. So they will eventually recover the Reapers, and we'll see what happens if they print more support or if they just make them a completely different sort of thing. But
I've got a feeling it'd probably be different.
T-Reaper is a consistently good deck. You will win with it, you will lose with it. It depends on who you're going up against. But it has a limit to how good it is, and that limit is Death Xmon, pretty much.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, Death X is good just because if they go wide, you can get a cheap one out for tempo.
Yeah.
And it can be hard for them to out it. But the only issue is with Death X, it doesn't even clear their board. So you're like, oh, excellent, I've Death X'd. But,
I mean Death X me being in their deck. Reaper decks do play a couple of Death X's because every deck
that's true
plays
as
it.
well. They play it as well, man.
Like, that's your best card in the deck. Yeah, Mother's good, Reaper's good. Reaper dies to any bomb that you hit, which isn't good.
That's another thing, man.
And it's
probably dead, this format.
It can't power creep anymore unless they release new cards for it, which they're probably not going to do for a while.
Yeah, like that's the thing, man. Like I was saying earlier on, because everybody's taking to beat OTKs and everybody's putting bombs in their deck now, like even decks that don't really need to are running like a Gaia Force or two just to see it. The other thing is, like, a lot of these OTK decks, they're called OTKs, right? But they often don't actually one-shot you. Like, how many times can you boys count that you've been one-shot by a Melga from like 4 or 5 security?
Oh, all the time.
I was gonna say more than I have hands in. So.
Really? Man, I don't think I'm not gonna lie.
Frequently.
I don't think I ever have been. Maybe it's just because of the deck.
I think
right?
it's
But
because
they
you play
always do, like,
Commandramon, yeah.
They always do like 3 or 4 checks, and then they pass turn, and then I go, okay, if he hadn't died to the swings, I'm like fist, and then they have to set up again. It gets your delay, so that's quite a nice swing point.
Whenever I play against them, they literally just go, where Guru swing, where Guru swing, where Guru X swing, Metal Guru swing, Omnimon swing, or whatever, and then they just one tap me out of nothing because there's fuck all in my security to help me.
I was gonna say, since I started playing more bombs, I can kind of get where you're coming from.
It's not even the fucking bombs. High level Digimon, nope, they are not there. But you can bet my fucking level 3s are.
You also have to hit 2 high level Digimon before they.
That's the other thing, man.
Yeah,
like,
it's just
they have to get super unlucky.
Metal Guru, not Metal Guru. Where Garurumon is 6k, it can get up to 8k. Like, a decent amount of stuff in my deck should kill it. It just never does. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being salty about this. The deck is meant to be doing what it's doing, but it's just fucking annoying. It's one of the reasons that I'm playing One Piece a lot at the moment, because I can mulligan my fucking hand away instead of just being stuck with crap.
I think I can speak for everybody when I say we really need mulligans. But then I think there's a chance we might get them, because I've played in a few like official Bandai events where mulligan has been on recently. I say recently, within like over a month ago now, but
they are allowed in Ultimate Cups and only Ultimate Cups. I don't know why.
So weird.
I was going to say why, man. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not as if it's like a special feature of the Ultimate Cup, or it is, but it's not like a, like a selling point to the Ultimate Cup. Oh, we've got exciting new rules. You can use a mulligan.
It's very odd, but
it is very strange.
I guess.
Anyway, we'll wrap this bit up, and we'll go on to the next segment. Security control also sitting high tier 1, up tier 2 even. Honestly, it's the filthiest deck in Digimon, and I despise it. It's just unfun to play against.
I don't even think it's fun to play.
I fully think that it's not fun to play. I don't think so. I fully support that, when you sit down to play a game of Digimon or any card game, there's a winner and there is a loser. Yes, you can draw, but that's besides the point. You fully acknowledge you might win or you might lose. But when you sit down and play security control, it's like, I'm not going to have fun from start to finish at all. The next 50 minutes of my life, and it will go to time because they always go to time, the next 50 minutes of my life, I'm going to want to die.
It's just so unsatisfying, man. Like, you should never be able to do over 10 checks in a game and still lose. It happens to me all too often, man, fighting them.
Yeah, I agree.
There's not even a lot you can tech to be... Well, I say there's not even a lot you can tech. Certain decks can't tech for it, really.
Yeah, you can delicate plan and all that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong. In the past, when I've been playing like red decks and stuff like that, and I've delicate planned through their security and they've not been able to do anything about it, it is an incredibly satisfying feeling. I don't think that takes away from the fact that I think the deck goes against the spirit of the game, and I don't like that. It's not to say that I don't respect players that play it. I completely get playing the most efficient deck. Obviously, when we talk about meta, that's what it stands for: most efficient tactics available to you. So that's what. If that's what you decide is best,
yeah.
I
found that out last year.
It
man,
stands for most
like
efficient tactics available.
That's pretty neat. Yes.
The more you know. Yeah, play it. But and at big events, you're there to win. You've paid between 15 to 70 pounds of your pounds sterling or dollars or yen or whatever currency you're working with. You're playing to win, totally get that. But if you bring security control to me at locals, I'm going to give you a swirly.
Hi, I know. It's just disgusting to play against, man. It's not fun for anybody. Apart from the person collecting their one extra pack at the end of the night on locals.
Yep.
So yeah.
There's only one sec list that I've seen that I like, and it's only because it's stupid. Like the one that we have at our locals, where it's basically Megazoo. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
That's
like
what
that
security controls came from, though, is Megazoo.
Yeah.
Back when there was crap options and everyone just went, just going to play a big bunch of level 5s. That was funny, because they didn't do anything.
Yeah. It was funny, and you could do things. It's just certain cards have busted open, like Flame Hellscythe, like being able to recycle Magna Angemon for 6 memory a piece is just too much, man.
It sounds stupid, but if Magna Andra goes, I think that deck just disappears, and it's probably not even disappears. It's probably less painful for both people.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Magna Angemon's getting a block 2 reprint, so that's never going to happen, I'm afraid. And I don't.
Flame Hellscythe, what's it called?
I get that to win.
Yeah, I think Flame Hellscythe or Chaos Deck to one would be good.
This is the thing, man. That card is nuts, but I feel like it does just kill Mastermon if you can't use it as well, which is the issue. It's another example of like a card that's nuts, but you're kind of not too sad about it if it gets played in its archetype. But
I fully expect it in Mastamon, and I like it in Mastamon because it's doing what it's meant to do along with the game and stuff like that. Then when you're playing against security control and they play a searcher to draw 1 card, then they slap down a Magna Angemon, and then they play a random purple tamer on their next turn, you're sitting there like, do you even know what you're doing?
I know, man.
It's interesting, but it's just I just don't.
And it is just an auto.
Even an errata to Magna, just make it 7k. So it can't be dropped.
It's an autopilot deck in my opinion as well. You either damage or you heal, and your first 4 turns are setting up tamers. That's literally it.
Setcon opponent taking 3 minutes a turn to decide what the removal piece they should use. What is the most optimal removal piece?
That's the one I don't get. Is taking your time with Setcon. It's very simple. You heal, you chaos deck, you pass turn.
Yep, pretty much.
I know. You need to play Turbo Digimon if you want to not go to time against Setcon as well, so everybody speed it up. Surprising no one topping the EX3 metadata. We have Metal Garurumon X by a large margin. It's still here, people, and it's not going away anytime soon.
I know, because they're reprinting that fucking promo as well.
Yeah, the spinny one, but the unsuspendy one. Like,
it's just nuts, man.
We've talked about it every single episode so far. There's only so much we can cover about it, and the more we talk about it, and the more it tops, the more annoyed we're getting about it, because when Alphamon started winning, they put a limitation in place. When Yellow Hybrid dominated, they put a limitation in place. When Crossheart started won one event, they banned a card. They limited a card in it based off of Japanese data and stuff like that.
Yep.
And Metal Garurumon has sat at the top of the meta. Like, nothing is coming close to it other than Alphamon since it came out, and Bandai are just going, whee! Like, they're not doing anything about it, and it feels that, combined with the erratas, it feels very, very bad, because the Japanese format doesn't play Metal Garurumon as much. It doesn't top with them a lot. So they're not focused on it like we are over here. So, like, it just feels bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really annoying to keep seeing it at the top. But the biggest thing I hate about it is I just feel like it's too fast and too unfair and consistent at what it does. The fact the deck can go for, quite easily hit 4 security on, like the second turn of the game or the third turn of the game, being able to apply so much pressure so quickly is absolutely insane. The other thing is, it's not just OTK focused. While it's OTKing you, it's also removing all your presence from the board.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is it's so unhealthy, and it removes so many like strategies from the game. The entire format's warped around this deck because it's so fast, and if you're not teched as far as security goes to beat it, then you've got no chance realistically, because it's going to pull the trigger before you've even got a chance to really play the game.
Yeah, I like, we've talked about it before about how we would limit the deck so it would still be strong. We've obviously talked about the Were Garurumon promo, and I can see limiting it, but I think that would cause the deck to just shit the bed and die completely.
Dead, 100%.
I wouldn't mind that.
I think what they need to do is either ban, and I don't think they'll ban, but I think they need to limit the Garurumon promo that lets you draw when attacking if you're a Garurumon, because you get to do it. You get to do it for it's not a once per turn. If they errata it to being a once per turn, I think the deck loses a lot of its early game aggression.
I've been playing against it every week at locals, and more often than not, they've got the power in the stack, and it makes no difference.
Yeah.
Plus, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, man. Actually, you continue, Bryce. Continue.
They've got the power in the stack, and they're only ever swinging once with the normal Were Garuru because they're scared to lose it. So it's so weird. I feel like you could hit the Were Garuru promo, and the deck would still linger on.
Oh yeah, we don't want it to kill it.
Promo.
Yeah,
I think it dies with the promo, man.
Or maybe limit the X antibody Were Garuru.
I'll be honest, guys.
I'd say X anti Were Garuru is a better hit.
There's a common thing, right? And you're going to see this in BT11 as well. There's one card that is a 4-of in both Were Garuru and the upcoming Black Lord Grey deck we're going to see that is absolutely nuts and kind of just puts the consistency of the deck over the edge, and it's Cool Boy. The boy who is cool. He's too cool, I would even argue.
What, Cool Boy's already out?
Yeah, he's at 4, man.
He's in.
Yeah, and the next set we're going to see through testing and the Japanese meta, everybody knows unless Black War Grey gets it, that's going to be number 1 deck, fighting with Metal Garurumon, Agumon and Gabumon going at it to decide who the number 1 is. Yeah. And they're both abusing the boy who is very cool.
I mean, I think he does need to go, but the problem is, as long as they keep printing cards with X antibody in his name, I don't think they'll ever bother hitting.
This is why, and again, we'll talk about this in a future episode, but when it comes to the finals, I think BT11 coming out just before the finals is actually really, really good, because it puts everyone back to square one with testing, so it's going to be an actual game of skill for the finals, as opposed to just Metal Garurumon security control.
The only thing is, man, like, everybody, the meta might be a little more up in the air, because you might actually find a lot of people who have tested stuff that they just really want to play in BT11. But the other thing is, it's not stopping people from testing. I know a lot of people who are actually, like, just saying, sod it, man, I'm not going to play till BT11 in person. I'm just going to test BT11 online.
Yeah.
Like, a popular online Digimon streamer, Mario's Gaming World, who I watch and I've played in his online tournaments quite a lot. He's actually started just saying so that we're doing proxy tournaments till February now.
Yeah.
Which is crazy for me, because he put out a poll and something like 80% of people just said, let's just do BT11 with proxies, because a lot of people don't see the point in playing EX3 when it's not even going to be the format of the Worlds.
So as we move on to start talking about the state of the game in general, I fully understand why people are playing BT11 and why. Now, there's a lot of discussion on, Digimon's dying, One Piece has come out, Battle Spirits is going to come out and kill it. I'll get your opinions on it in a minute, but I don't think that's the case. I think One Piece caters to a different market, and I think Battle Spirits caters to a completely different market in general. So I don't think Digimon's dying. I think it's just in a rough patch at the moment. And I have to be completely honest, I think it's because of Bandai themselves. Not only did the last set release with a third of the, cards having not just like minor erratas, major erratas that change the cards themselves. That coupling with cancelling some of the last regionals because they didn't have enough prize supports in stock, combined with a lull over the Christmas period, has caused people to become a bit disenfranchised with the game. And I fully get that. And I want to know what your thoughts are.
I mean, I definitely don't think the game's dying or going anywhere, right? I mean, this is the first year I've been like really into a card game, but from what I hear, it's just pretty common for people to take a little bit of time off and the foot off the gas in December. Like I said earlier on, you know, cold weather, darkness, people can't be arsed leaving the house, and people get busy and skint in December as well. So it makes sense for that. As far as like blaming Bandai, I don't know if things like obviously the erratas just makes you think, wow, this is a bit daft. How incompetent can they be? But when it comes to people stopping going to locals and things like that, I think it certainly hasn't helped the timing of Worlds. Like I'm happy that BT11 will be legal and it'll be probably more fun. But if we wanted it to be more competitive, what they would probably want to do is bring it forward so that it's EX3 format, and early on or kind of midway through EX3 they should probably have put some sort of slight ban list or adjustment in, probably to Metal Garurumon. I'm not sure, if I've not really thought about what else would be hit, but if they did that, that would mean the meta would be spiced up, right? People would be more interested in playing the game again about halfway into the format, and they'd still have like a month and a half, 2 months to prep for their regionals or their worlds, and they wouldn't be. A lot of people are just bored of playing the game as well at the minute because things are a little bit stagnant.
Yeah.
It's been like, what was it, October when EX3 released, right?
November, mid-November-ish.
Yeah, start of November.
November. It feels longer than that.
Well, it was meant to be early November, but then it got pushed back 3 weeks. But then product started trickling in, but locals didn't want to do EX3 because only half the people had stuff, so it was kind of a weird one.
Yeah, but also it's like, I don't think any of the games coming out will kill Digimon, because Digimon is, as you said, like incredibly unique as a card game. If anything, One Piece kind of replaces Dragon Ball. They're very similar, and Dragon Ball's another Bandai card game.
Yeah,
but I don't think anything's really dying at the moment. It is just a bit of a lull because EX3 feels like it's taken forever, and there's only really one good, like, there is one tier 1 deck.
I was going to say, man, like, EX3's barely shook the meta at all as well.
Yeah. Like, I brought one deck in, which was Hydra, and then the other decks are all either tier 3 or lower.
Yeah. I think part of the problem when it comes to tournaments is that as soon as one deck wins, everyone goes, moi, like the seagulls from Finding Nemo, and they're like, I must play this deck. So naturally, there's a higher turnout of it at events, and obviously a higher percentage means that it's got much more of a chance of winning, and that's exactly what's been happening as I punch my microphone. That's exactly what's happened. Everyone's just went, oh, let me copy, let me net deck. And don't get me wrong, obviously we've talked about deck building before. There's nothing wrong with net decking. If you don't enjoy deck building, totally fine. But it does start to skew the results eventually.
Yeah, it actually happened at the London regionals we went to, because Set Control was starting to do a few tops at the time. Our regional was just filled with Set Control because everyone had piggybacked.
Oh boy, am I unfortunately aware of that one. The amount of judge calls that we had about security control was definitely interesting.
Sitting your arse falling asleep as you're taped to a chair for like a full game set, hour after hour after hour watching SetCon.
I'll give you an example of why I was called over for a judge problem. I couldn't name names if I wanted to. 2 SetCon players. Player 1 plays a Flame Hell Scythe, carries out everything as normal, summons a guy, blah blah blah. Player 2's turn, SetCon, he plays a Flame Hell Scythe, and player 1 rule sharks him and says he can't do that, even though his move was exactly the same as player 1. Like down to the Digimon that he summoned, and we were like, what's the problem? And he was like, oh, I don't think he can do that. And the player 2 was like, he just did it himself. And I was like, is that true? And he went, well, yeah. And I was like, well, then you know how it works.
Oh, what?
Good fun.
Good fun.
Good fun. Yeah, we kept an eye on him. He sped up his game after that.
Average SetCon and drawers.
I know, man. But it's just a bit sad. I mean, people predicted this happening because, I mean, was it middle of October, start of November that EX3 was meant to be dropping?
Yes.
It was very start of November.
And it was crazy, right? Because I think they've just poorly spaced the product out, to be honest.
I think so too.
And everybody called it because BT10 was out for what felt like a month.
3 weeks.
Or a month and a half. Honestly, it wasn't long at all. They even, after 2 weeks of the set releasing, put out a ban list, which is fine.
Everyone was held.
Everyone was sitting going, what is the point in this, man? With one event of a ban list being in place, and we've got another set coming out in like 2 weeks from now. Like, it was the BT10 meta was almost non-existent, and I understand that their logic might be, well, this is an expansion set, so it's not quite the same as a full set. Man, it's totally the same as a normal
exactly
set.
The same.
It's pretty much identical.
It's the
BT10 was also delayed, right? Like, it was also massively delayed, I'm pretty sure.
It was delayed for 2 weeks. So
Really?
we got BT10 and EX3 in the space of 3 weeks of each other, and then there's 4 months between EX3 and BT11. 4 months, three and a half, something like that.
This might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, but I think they hit Crossheart a bit too quickly.
They absolutely did, and I think we talked about that in the last the ban list episode as well. Is that they immediately went, nah, let's limit this Shoutmon.
This is the thing, man. Like, Crossheart would have been oppressive and disgusting. It would have probably been the top deck by far. I don't even think it would have been close. But the issue is, because of how fast they did it, the format was totally just up in the air. It was crazy. They could, if they left Crossheart in it, I actually, as someone who despises that deck and was ready for it to totally shit on the whole meta, I actually wish they didn't limit it now, because
I fully think they should have left it alone.
With a much more diverse set, because you don't take for Crossheart. What was that, sorry?
They could have just hit Sunrise, and I think it wouldn't have been nearly as bad.
Yeah. Or you could have just hit X4, and equally it wouldn't have been as crazy.
Yeah. But even then, and I said this before, I don't agree with banning a card based on what it might achieve. I think it should fully achieve it, and then you can ban it if it's oppressive. But like, well, obviously we talk about Japan being a different format and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it is the same game. But the Crossheart won one event, and that was because it was only event scheduled between BT10 coming out and the ban list, which was 2 weeks later. So like, I think they should have given it a chance, see what the format is like, and if it truly is the most toxic, cancerous thing to come out, then then limit it. But don't do it preemptively.
Fled the sinking ship as well after it got banned, and nobody, like, because we said this before. I think I said it. Like, how many people do you know that were playing Crossheart because they love Digimon Cross Wars or they love Shoutmon or something like that? Everyone was just playing it because they knew it was going to be the greatest deck to ever hit Digimon. But again, like I say, it would have made the meta way more interesting, because you can't tech for Crossheart the same way you tech for Metal Garurumon. Because the top threats are all vaguely similar, build a big stack, do lots of damage, gain value. Apart from maybe Bloom Lord, we're all taking the same way now. You can't, because Crossheart was going wide and then swinging for like a couple of checks with an X5. It's completely different, and maybe it would have been harder. Because Crossheart was so good as well, everybody was putting in 4 of the rookies that stopped play reduction. But maybe you wouldn't have seen that if you were fighting Rare Garurumon, because it would have been sweet F all to the deck. So it would have been a much more interesting meta, I would say.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people have just get bored, man.
Something I'm surprised about is, at least at Arlo, because I haven't seen any Death X.
I think everyone's just
overhyped, honestly.
I think everyone's just went, can we not play Death X? And everyone's went, yeah, fair enough.
I think it's because Death X was like the Crossheart counter, so that's part of the reason it was massive in Japan. But like Melga, it does nothing against. Seccontron, it does nothing against. Hydras, it does mess with, but Wargrey, it does nothing against.
Well, this is the thing, man. Like, I think it's very overstated as to how, obviously, it can be bad depending on who you are, what deck you're playing, because it'll either shit on you or do nothing. It's a bit of a crazy card for that. But it's not exactly the greatest meta to be using it in. You can't really hurt playing a one-off of it, But as far as playing your 2 or 3 copies, which is what you would have been playing if Crossheart was a big threat, it's definitely fell off a bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Adam's happy though because he can play 5 green guys on the board and not get punished as much.
Hydra's so much fun. You guys need to give it a shot. It's just Hydramon just gave it the end of turn combo it needed. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so cool, man. I mean, doing any of the like, see when you play a new deck for the first time and you go, holy crap, I can do that. Like you're sitting there with like 2 memory and you're like, holy crap, I can make 2 guys and end on a level 6. This is nuts.
Yeah,
like
so
the stuff you can do is crazy,
it's
man.
so
It's
good.
like when I got my hands on the EX3D Brigade for the first time, and I was like, holy crap, I can evolve into the level 5. It's like if you get left on 3 memory, you evolve into level 5, play another rookie off the Tantrum on effect, give it rush, evolve into Darkdramon for 0 because it's so easy to fill your trash with D Brigade now, and then you swing, play another guy, and then swing again, and then you swing with the other guy that you've played out. Like three swings just pulled out your ass. It's great.
Yeah,
that's when it happens though. Like my big issue I've got with the new D Brigade stuff is, see if you don't see the new Seals drum on, it feels so underwhelming, man.
Because you're minus a swing every turn without that new Seals drum on, right?
It's because of the inherited you get from it. So like
Yeah.
you say, you're down a swing, and the Darkdramon combo becomes much more underwhelming. Like, oh yes, I've evolved into Tantramon for 3. I've played my guy, and then I evolve into Darkdramon, swing, play another guy, and then swing again, and then you end on like 4 bodies, and you probably just get Death X'd, or like by the time you get to the Darkdramon now, it feels like they're pushing for lethal. So I feel like if you don't get like an OTK off with it, it's not really that great to generate 2 free Commandramon on the board, as crazy as that sounds.
Oh, I just realised you're also an anti-Death X enjoyer with your D Brigade.
Yeah, D Brigade gets absolutely shagged by Death X.
But it also plays Death X, to be fair.
Yeah, I've got
Actually,
like 2
mine's-
right now in my list.
Hina's army is, compared to yours, to pretty garbage, but it also gets shagged by Death X.
Yeah, it just shuts down like so many decks as well. I've heard a lot of people saying one issue I do agree with on. I mean, you can talk about Death X all day, man. I don't really know if I'd really like to see it restricted yet, because I don't think it's oppressive enough. Where everybody's running it really, like the top decks, the only one that would run it would be Setcon really, or Hydra to take for Hydra. But it's, someone said this on Facebook and I kind of agreed with it. It's actually really oppressive for kind of rogue decks, you know, things. And at this point, anything that isn't like an OTK is like a rogue deck, really. It feels like these kind of mid-rangey decks. And there's quite a few decks that I've made in BT11 as well. Don't want to go fully into it because we'll probably do a BT11 episode closer to the time, but a lot of the green stuff is focused on cheating tamers out and going kind of wide. But you just get totally shut down with the death that is X, and you cry about it because you've got 3 or 4 tamers on the board and Death X just comes down for nothing and wipes you.
And I feel like a lot of decks are moving that tamer heavyweight in the later sets. Like, there's quite a few that are specifically tamer based.
Yeah.
And Death X just gets more and more value the more of them they print.
There is a lot of focus I've noticed in the upcoming set, spoilers from BT11 onwards, is that there is a lot of focus between having a Digimon and their partner tamer at the same time. Obviously, we've seen it a lot with the various, sets that have come out. Agubond, stuff like that, Gabibond. But there is a bigger push towards the, I want to say, tribal sort of decks where it's all sort of
there
like...
There definitely is. Nah, you're absolutely right there, to be honest.
But it does seem like that they are pushing for that, and I'm honestly all for that. If the format could be just fun and filled with, tribal-based decks with the appropriate tamers.
Your favorite character.
Instead of, let me play out 4 Kari Kamiya so you can't gain any memory, and let me play out... like, what's the other one that does the opposite? The Mimi Tachikawa?
Yeah.
Oh, so good luck fucking doing anything. Like, that feels like shit on a stick that you get slapped with. But, like...
Well, that's another thing about SetCon. There's no real theming to the deck. It's just things that are good.
Another reason why I don't like it. But then they're like, oh, you want a Shine Greymon? Here's a Marcus that can fucking punch other Digimon.
I've been making jokes about that coming out for
you have Bryce. You've been saying they should print a Marcus that punches things, and I remember you saying that up to a year ago and stuff like that. So they finally have done that, and it's stupid. It's stupid as fuck, but I love it because it's on theme and it's on brand. Digimon doesn't need to be a card game that takes itself seriously, because it isn't a serious, anime, if that makes sense. It's basically just a bunch of kids getting into danger repeatedly until the world tries to end, and then then that's it. I'm up for more crazy things, like the Crest Garurumon Blitz Greymon Jogris deck that's coming out in BT 13 or 12 or something. Crazy as fuck. Crazy as fuck. It's never gonna be good, but it looks fun. I'm all for that. Sorry, that was my rant on tribal decks.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, by the way, Adam. Though this was another point I thought of earlier today when I was like, oh, what can I talk about in the podcast? They are so almost all of the support they are printing for Digimon, right? I'm talking Agumon, Gabumon, Guilmon, like all the fan favorite Digimon, right? A lot of them are now going to be hitting the point of critical mass, right? Where they've had 1 or 2 sets of direct support already, and they're going to get another set or 2 of direct support as well. I'm a bit worried, honestly, that the deck is going to be dominated by, cards that have had 4 or 5 waves of support, right? And that the newer Digimon that they're bringing in support for, or some of the ones that have got a little bit less love, are going to struggle to see a lot more play. Because, I mean, literally, like, look at the top things we've got the new Garurumon and Agumon, who have been getting support like every set since the game debuted, and it's the same as we go down the line looking at metas as well. Mastermon getting more support, looking good, and it's already decks. Notice it's already decks that have seen competitive success getting even more support, whereas a lot of other Digimon, I think, are getting left in the dust.
Yeah, like, I agree with you there. But I think it's not like Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon as a TCG do this as well. They print the same 4 cards over and over again, just in slightly different ways. And it goes back as long as the modern era of Pokemon exists. There's always a mill deck. There's always an energy-based deck. There's always blah, 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 blah. Digimon are doing sort of the same thing, but I completely agree that it is starting to get oversaturated with a bunch of things. But I think that that's a good thing, because I think it leads to more variety in decks as well. So as opposed to like we're talking about Shine Greymon, so I'll use that as an example. If you want to build a Shine Greymon deck right now, it is a hybrids deck with Shine Greymon as your level 6. But before that, it was pretty much just an Agumon line straight up into your Shine Greymon with things that give you DP reduction. But with the new Shine Greymon coming out and getting more support, there's going to be a bunch of different ways to play that. You could play it with hybrids, you could play it with the full red-yellow support it's getting, you could play it with old school DP reduction sort of thing. And I think that's really cool.
You can even play it ex ante.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool.
Thing. That is interesting about it, because I was speaking to Dylan about this the other day. Decks build themselves a little bit sometimes, right? And then you just kind of sit tweaking numbers. You don't really... It's not often that you see multiple topping lists that are playing interesting includes.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever watch like a metagame breakdown from someone like the Eggman, he's sitting going like that, oh, well, he's running the Gabumon, he's running for that one, he's running for the other Gabumon, he's running for the promo Garudamon, he's running for the Garudamon X and stuff like that. And then it's like, oh, interesting include, that one's down to 3 instead of 4. It's only at 4, but this guy thinks he can run it at 3. But when there is so much support, there's a lot more diversity in the card includes, and you can make your decks a lot more customizable, which is cool. My only worry with that is, like I say, the other thing as well, if you bring out a new deck, right, how much support or how cracked does that need to be if it doesn't intertwine with the old support cards?
I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say that make a point that there is so many Digimon that I can't remember. I know we've talked about it before, but I'm going to Google it again. Of how many Digimon are there? More than 1,400, but there's so many Digimon that are just either dog shit or no one's heard of them, because it's like Black Mac Galgamon, fucking wing mode Dragon of Ra sort of thing. Where they're like it's so
Mega Ultra Chicken.
It's
Mega
so
Ultra
obscure.
Sphere mode.
Yeah, it's so obscure that unless it's had a recent thing in the anime or something like that, everyone's going, "What the fuck is this?"
Aye. Yeah. Digimon has this issue where they always reuse the same bunch of Digimon together. Like, see, as someone who has played a lot of the Digimon games over the years, some of my favourite ones are ones where they've got very wide rosters with Digimon you don't expect, right? And another thing is, see if you go into a game, right, and you cannot have Dramogamon as your partner, right? That is a seal of negativity against your game, right? That is a massive Dramogamon, right?
He's the big mole,
furry guy.
He's the big mole drill guy. You must have loved Digimon Masters Online when you get him as a mount.
Mate, I was scunnered in that because he was garbage, because he get given out as the first like extra guy you get. You get Kunamon and then you get Dramogamon, and I was like, oh yes, Dramogamon. Oh, he's garbage. I can't use him. He's ass. But he's like, so he's a Digimon that's been in all the old classic stuff, right? He's a purple furry mole. He's a champion. He's got a big drill. But there's so many games that come out where you can't even get him now that I'm like, there's too many. There's a too high a concentration of Digimon that get overused over and over again, and the variety is not wide enough for me. Because so many of these little gems are just getting swept by the wayside. I
think part of the problem with it is that if you do, the more wide you go with a deck, the more things you have to include. A perfect example is the EX3 shenanigans with Dorbrickmon and all that sort of stuff. Oh, when you play this card, you may include Dragon, Sword, Dinosaur, Furry Lizard, Lizard, Lizard Queen, Drag Queen, things like that.
Ceratopsian. Like, what's a Ceratopsian? Couldn't even tell you.
Like Triceratops, Triceratops, like that. But like, the more wide you go, if you're like, oh, we want this Magna Angemon deck, this Seraphimon deck, to also include fucking Clavis the second God Jehovah's Witness Angemon or something like that, whatever the most obscure one is. Like, you're gonna be like, what type is this Digimon? Oh, look, turns out he's a pastor, so they have to print fucking pastor on it as well. And but the more wide that they go, the more things they have to include on it as well. And they've got to future-proof the sets. So they're like, oh, we've got this chicken coming out, but in 17 sets time, we're printing an overpowered chicken. We can't have it include that, so then they need to change the chicken back to another Agumon.
Yeah, man, I think it's so funny, like what you were saying about the Dorbrickmon stuff, about the Ceratopsian and that. Like, there's so many traits in Digimon, right? And there's not many they're only just starting to bring out decks that care about traits, because there's so many that could be the same one. Like, see, if you look at, like, in Pokemon, you've got water type, right? In Digimon, you've got fish, you've got, like, sea mammal, you've got aquatic, and the list goes on, man. You could make them all aquatic.
You've got it would be fine. You've got their overarching types, which is virus, data, and vaccine. But then when you start to delve into, like, the type that they're classified as biologically, I guess is the word for it, or something like that. Yeah. That's when it starts. You've got like, you've got Dragon, but you've got Sky Dragon, but you've got Paper Dragon for Origamimon that came out 17 years ago in the the Digimon TCG game or something like that.
Aye, like what? Like again, what is that? Angel type, Archangel, Fallen Angel. I mean, that's makes a bit more sense, but they could all be angels, man.
That one.
Plant, fairy, vegetation, carnivorous plant. Why is plant and vegetation different?
It shouldn't be
a type of vegetation.
It shouldn't be in Japan. It's not. It's completely the same.
Nonsense.
It's the translation squad. Being on ketamine again, I think. Mate, when you look at EX3, this has devolved something bad. By the way,
it's so silly.
When you look at it and they're like, "Oh, must contain an angel," you're like, "Who fucking translated this?"
I know.
When it's like, "Oh, there's angel, there's archangel, fallen angel," you know, all that sort of shit, and you're like, "Come on, man, don't make me look up. Bring a rule book with me."
And then you've got ones that are angels that don't have angel in the name.
Yeah.
Things you look at, you go, that definitely fits this, and then you read it and it doesn't.
It's like, virtue, that means it's an angel. Does it?
No, the short answer
it does not.
Judge comes, like, you get a judge call and you sit down and be guys trying to search a virtuous Digimon that's very clearly an angel. It's like, it says it searches angel, look, this guy on the card's an angel. Nah, mate, he's virtue type. He doesn't.
Can that Patamon search a Lucamon? I want to know that. What does
Lucamon's Fallen Angel, I think.
Yeah, so it should be able to. Not that you would ever want to, but like Lucamon, TCG. Yeah, that's getting a reprint in Rising Wind as well. Yeah, no, Lucamon's just an angel, so yeah, you can search it.
The other one, I was gonna say the other one is, but the other one's
Fall Down Mode's oh no, Fall Down Mode's a Demon Lord. What?
Yeah, he's one of the 7 deadly Digimon.
Yeah, but right,
deadly Digisins.
Bringing this up, Lucamon Chaos Mode or Fall Down Mode. You know what his type is? It's Demon Lord or / 7 Great Demon Lords. Just say 7 Great Demon Lords then. Just say.
This goes back to the errata pattern, like how the translations have been pretty poor in the game, all things considered.
Like,
it's so funny though.
If he's one of the 7 Great Demon Lords, just say that he's a Demon Lord, and like, so the way that One Piece does it is that you've got the closed square brackets if it's searching out one thing and one thing only, but you've got like kind of the open pointy bracket if it can search like a variety. So if it's got something. So one of the cards is Navy, it can search out Navy, but if it can search out former Navy, it's got the little pointy brackets as well. Why don't they just do that for Digimon? Oh, it can search out Angel with pointy brackets, which means it can also grab Fallen Angel, you know, Angel of the Sky, Angel of the Melons, things like that as well.
Angel of the Melons.
I've lost the plot.
That's probably encapsulates every One Piece character, to be fair.
Yeah.
Or 50% of them an Angel of the Melons, because the designs in that are absolutely ridiculous.
It took me a minute to get what you meant.
50% of One Piece characters.
This is a Christian podcast.
I know. How could
we only play Angel decks or Archangel or Virtue decks on this.
I'm really curious as to what like other classifications are that.
Honestly, it's a rabbit hole you could go down all day. There's also like food is a classification.
Yeah.
Because you've got AB Burgermon, who is made out of burgers.
They're going nuts with all these classifications. I know that's not a topic. They didn't make Filth one.
Oh,
yeah,
for poo-poo.
To be fair, mutant is a thing, right? Digimon. So what Bryce is talking about here, back in the original like VPET days. Filth was an archetype. It was a alternative type, the same way you've got like aqua and fire and earth.
Yeah.
Filth was its own type. And at some point Digimon went, hold on a minute here, we can't have Digimon whose power is throwing poo and farting. That's too much. Also, the diversity within the move pool was not very, very far, let me tell you. Like Digimon World, you've got horizontal kick, which is just your Digimon farts on them. That's the weakest of all the Filth moves. You've got such gems as high speed poop toss.
Oh, I love high speed poop toss.
Well, it's quite good because it's very fast. But then you've got like poop round toss, where they throw multiple poops out. You've got like Ultimate Poop Hell, which is the strongest one of them all, where it's that the biggest poo of all time falls from the sky on them. But it's like, I guess they were like, well, how far can we really take this, man? And also they probably thought Western audiences are not going to get behind poo Digimon.
When they clearly don't know Western audiences.
But it's still... the thing is, filth is still in the video games, so why isn't it in my card game?
I know, it's silly, man. And then the other thing is now they have to do things like on the card that should have been named Horizontal Kick, by the way. I think that's actually a mistranslation in the original game, but they made
Horizontal Shit
for Horizontal Kick in BT11, and it's called Cooties Kick now, which I guess is actually a better name, because what the hell does Horizontal Kick mean? But anyway, on that card it says you can use it on Numemon, Nanimon, Chumon, Etamon, and Sukamon, right? But they could have just put, you can use it on Filth type Digimon.
Yeah. That's basically the biggest gripe.
Have you guys seen Footmon?
Footmon? Is that the one that plays football?
It just plays football, that's correct.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is the fucking point in this?
Wait, was this a card, or are you just looking?
No, it's no. I'm right, guys. I'm looking up future sets. It is BT12. I'm just looking up. I was looking to see what kind of weird things there are. I did find one in Black Seraphimon, I think it's called. Dark Seraphimon.
Aye, shit, yeah.
Guess what Dark Seraphimon's type is?
Fallen Angel.
Nope.
Yeah, you would think Fallen Angel.
It's Seraph. Just Seraph.
Surely not, man.
Seraph.
Actually, wait. No, yeah, because if you look in the BT3, if you look at the BT3 Patamon targets, Seraph is one, and the only target is Seraphimon.
It's so weird.
Why has he got his own? Oh my god, we could farm this for hours. But I don't know how long we want to farm the ridiculous types on this. And there's certain things you're like, why is that this? That doesn't make sense that it's this type. They've actually made 500 different types of Digimon, but but Ganimon, who's just a coin, is apparently a mutant.
You're wrong, by the way. In terms of like Numemon and stuff like that, they've changed the typing. If you look at Rising Wind, I'm gonna let you see it from yourself. Go look at Rising Wind, look at the promo Numemon that's coming out in it, and see what type it is.
He's a mollusk now.
He's a mollusk, which he isn't.
Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Because we're gonna get Black King Numemon one day, and he is a mollusk because he lives in a shell. Maybe Numemon is a mollusk, people, because I mean, we all know he evolves into Monzamon, right? So he's kind of like a hermit crab. He lives in a shell.
To be fair, he's been a mollusk throughout it.
All of the cards for Numemon are mollusks.
Yeah, I've just seen that, including the fan art one of him just covered in poo, falling out of his Digivice. How lovely!
Oh, that one's unreal, man.
Yeah.
Those Digivice promos were so good.
Something that Digimon has over like every card game I've ever played is just art.
I know the art is really good, man. Like, that's another reason why people keep trying to make me play One Piece, and I look at the art on the cards and I'm like, bro, this is like screenshots. This looks like a screenshot.
Well, to be fair, so is the D-Reaper set.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
See the alt arts in EX2, man. I was not a fan of them. Like, half the normal arts looked better than the screenshot.
Also on that One Piece thing, they got such a bad backlash that they've started doing original arts for the later sets.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that was good, man. Because I see some of the alt arts, and some of the alt arts look sweet, but the basic card arts stink. It's like, see in EX1, you were in two camps with EX1 when they did the classic collection. You were like, either like, oh my god, I played with these back in 1990 or whatever, and I recognised this absolutely hoaching art of Gabumon looking really funny. Or you were like, these card arts are ass, man. They've all got generic backgrounds. The art is from like 1998, quite literally.
Yeah. So I was very much in that this is kind of bogging camp.
Same.
My biggest gripe is like, sure, do retro card arts. That's fine. People will love that. But the 90% of the all arts were just slightly zoomed out versions of the same card.
Yeah.
With still the plain as balls background.
Yeah, they just had the concept art, and then they had like a kind of traditional card layout on it as well. But
whereas pretty much everything in Digimon has been original artwork, and it's always something cool. Like I think we can agree that regardless of them printing shitty vanillas over and over again, they've still got incredible artwork, and more times than not, they're from some obscure part of one of the many video games that if you've played them, you'll get it, and if you don't, you're just going, well, it's pretty, but it's so cool.
You know why they still print vanillas?
To pad the set.
Yeah, it's for draft.
It's for draft, or is it? Is that like the nice way to think about it, or is that like they have officially said it?
That they said this. I think they officially said it with Dragon Ball, and since it's the same company, you can assume that it's for the same reasons.
But see, if you look at later sets, like what am I looking at just now? BT12. There's only a few vanillas, whereas if you look at set 1, it was almost all vanillas.
I think, but with set 1, I think that's just because it was set 1. They didn't want to go too insane with it. Whereas decks become more cohesive within their own set now.
I'm looking at set 1, and it's actually quite poor.
Insane in it. There's either in set 1, there's like a handful of cards that have been staples since they're released, and then the rest is utter garbage.
Also, you know what's really funny about set 1? The Vidramon secret rare that has never once been used in anything.
And I don't think it's going to see much play when Vidramon's a deck either.
Nope.
Yep.
Although it's got a good inheritable, if I remember right.
It is both players' turn. You could just. This is how you know how old it is. It's both players' turn instead of all turns. While you've got a blue tamer, gain +1k.
Okay, that's mid actually. That's quite mid.
If it had jamming, it would be good because it unsuspends itself.
Adam, I think I know where you're checking this. You've probably got proxy ticked and reading.
Oh yeah, I think I do. Yeah, you're right.
It does say all turns, but even then, it's still not really that great and inheritable.
Oh yeah, but when you look at like is it the Grand Kawagamon, that's got something weird
from bloody BT1?
No, I think it's the Grand Kawagamon promo.
Oh, the one that lets you remove sources and enables the grandest shenanigans.
No. The very first promo. What one was it? Where is it? I know it's here somewhere.
That very first promo was an all art of the inset card, wasn't it?
I'm trying to find.
I think BT1 had a promo that was.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was the BT1 had a promo all art of the Grand Kawaga inset. But that's the only Grand Kawaga promo I can think of.
What am I thinking of then?
Dropping.
No clue, man. There's only been one promo Grand Kawagamon, I think.
There's definitely a card that was, you could tell it was one of the first cards they designed because the wording is just completely off anything that was sort of normal. Can't remember what it is.
Maybe a Kabuterimon.
Something about this card sets itself to active or something like that. I don't know.
Just instead of it on suspense. The unique blue mechanic from back in the day, unsuspending your Digimon.
Good fun.
How crazy is that though? That like, see when the game came out, they were like, right, every colour's got its unique mechanics, and now it's like, I feel like there is still unique mechanics to a lot of the colours, but it's been diluted a lot, isn't it?
It's because of all the colour swapping and stuff like that. So the way that the One Piece TCG works, you have a leader card, just like Dragon Ball, and you can only play cards of that leader's colour. I think Digimon would have worked just as well as you have a tamer, and you can only play cards of that tamer's colour sort of thing. It would make security control non-existent. And I think that could be a fun way to sort of play Digimon if someone could come up with a format for it.
There's a format for Digimon that certain people played. I can't remember the name of it. But basically, you had a tamer and a Digimon attributed to your deck, and you started the game with those in play every time. I
mean, that just sounds like Digimon Commander.
Kind of, yeah.
They probably just call it
Nokia and stuff. I can't remember. It was something to do with there can be only one or something. I don't know.
How long have the Digidestined format or something?
How long is this going for?
Oh,
it was like the Digidestined format.
Yeah, we're sitting at a lovely little 1 hour 25 minutes.
Happy days. Shall we do some comments?
Yeah, let's get some comments going. They're still not printing any goddamn Lord Nightmon support. God damn it, man.
You're never going to get it, Adam, because...
No, because they printed a
the sets are
Kotemon.
too jammed,
They
mate.
printed a code. They're printing a Kotemon in BT11 that's a level 3 hardcast blocker, and I'm going to put it into Lord Nightmon and see how it ticks. God, I just wish it would come
That's
back.
what it needed to crack itself open,
I wish I
man.
could cling to Diaboromon like you do with Lord Knight.
Love Lord Nightmon.
I love Diaboromon, but that deck is just not existent anymore.
Oh.
That's one I'm surprised we haven't seen support for, because it was like in the first
Taking a while, innit?
5 or 6 sets.
What do you mean we're not seeing support for it? They're reprinting the Diaboromon promo for the 7th time.
No, the
That's
deck's
not
issue...
support.
Diaboromon's issue is that not enough people have access to the promo Diaboromon, I think. So
It's-
the
That
more
is
we
not the
reprint
issue.
it,
It's like
that's the issue, bro. They reprint it again, more people will play it, Copium.
Bandai to
Oh,
Diaboromon
so
is like new parents to a baby. The baby's crying, and the new parents don't have a fucking clue what the baby wants. That's Bandai to Diaboromon, so they just keep reprinting the old Diaboromon promo and judge
And I'm gonna
packs
keep
and
crying.
reprint packs and tournament packs and fucking and your cereal. It's finding its way everywhere.
It's like that meme of the parent holding up the baby in the pool and he's laughing. And it's like Agumon and Gabumon and Vmon support, and then the guy at the bottom of the pool is a
Diaboromon's
skeleton,
drowning.
it's Diaboromon.
Oh, please, Bandai, if you're listening, help me out here.
Bryce is like, move on now, move on to the comments now. I don't
You're
want to hear
hurting
any
me
more
personally.
slander on the Diaboromon.
Yeah.
Bryce, you must be hurting at the minute, man. Diaboromon in the toilet and Link's Dragon not on the tier list.
Rip.
And Yellow Hybrid getting shafted.
Just play better decks, mate. It's fine. Play better
No, I
decks.
refuse.
Bro, you could have played
Yeah.
Yellow Hybrid this format and you'd have been eating good.
I don't think I would have been eating good, but it would have been slightly less trash. Slightly less smelly trash.
What do you mean? What format? We've had one locals and it was Christmas.
I've been going weekly.
I've been there every Wednesday for a while.
Yeah, you've caught me. I've been
Sadly-
playing One Piece.
sadly-
Leave me alone.
I've been playing One Piece on
One
Wednesdays, my
Piece,
guy. I've been
man.
playing it on Wednesdays.
So you tell this
So
one
fun.
likes One Piece.
It's fun.
Is it real, boys? Is it real?
No clue. Yeah.
Best t-shirt ever.
So let's go through some comments. Once again, guys, thanks very much for commenting. If you've lasted this long when we've been talking shit, thank you for sticking around. We do appreciate you. And we'll show that appreciation by talking about the comments that you've left for us. So Joshua Davis from the last episode. You've said I cracked it open. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about Imperial Dramon, the new
Yep.
Imperial Dramon.
The red
It's less
purple-
about filling the trash and more about filling your hand and getting rid of what you need. Good podcast, thank you very much. But I'm definitely not playing anything but this. I'm definitely not playing anything but this TCG. Oh, you're not playing anything but Digimon, and it starts to add up.
Good man.
Good, you're having a good time with your new build. I think you figured it out. Please share it with me because I've still yet to make the deck work, and I really, really like it. But you've no time for tourneys, which is fair enough. There's not really been anything. If you're going to the finals, guys, let me know in the comments, and I'll look out for you there. It'll be cool to see you folks. No missed memory boost, no Wormmon, no draw one, trash one word Mephistomon. PM me. What's Mephistomon? The Mephistomon hasn't been.
as we speak.
Mephistomon hasn't been
Mephistomon.
printed yet.
No, he has. Mephistomon
Has he?
There's no
is
one.
he's a furry demon from EX2. On play, draw 2, then trash 2, right? So he's an Eismon, but he's a level 5 and he costs 7 to
I've
hard
just
play.
typed in me Pistomon.
You pissed?
Me Pistomon. Oh
And
yeah,
he's inherited
Mephistomon.
as when attacking, trash a card and gain a memory.
Oh right. So how does the draw 2, trash 2 work if you're trying to jogress your shit?
I'm guessing you hard play. I'm guessing it's just like a second Eismon in the deck.
I'm
really.
guessing like you build something in stack and then hard drop this, then next turn you
Oh.
can jog this.
Oh.
Do you know, that's actually a very good point because they have the end of turn effect, don't they, to Jogress?
Yeah.
So you can raise them out, Mephistomon, and then you might even, I mean, I don't know if you'd be bold enough to do such a thing, but you can then maybe even draw into the pieces for the Jogress as well off the top of it if you're at a pinch.
Could be fun. Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much for commenting, Josh. You've commented quite a few times, and we really appreciate it.
Yep. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Right.
Someone else take a comment.
Right, I'll
Oh.
do it. We've got the main man, Jamie Gardner. Shout out Jamie from CC, the GOAT. He says, something worth noting in the Bloom Lord versus Metallic Dramon matchup. Here we go, Bryce, here we go.
Oh.
Is that you can't Digizorb, then Digivolve. It has to be suspended first before you initiate the evolution. It's technically the Digivolve triggers when the Digimon is still unsuspended.
Yeah, that is correct.
I said this to Adam when the set came out, and you didn't believe me yet, but it makes sense. It's just weird to think about.
I guess it makes sense because technically you're suspending for the Digivolution, right?
Yeah.
So you can't initiate
Digivolution before Digisorption.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
No, I love that. Thank you.
And he's saying that QB Sage is Steve from Locos as well, man. So that's actually funny. I know Steve. Yeah, cheers, Jamie. That's a nice wee nuanced comment then about some interesting interactions. It's cool though how the game goes on. You see some interactions like this that you would have never seen before because you've never seen an effect like Metallic Dramon before.
Nah, like the Metallic Volcanic deck is so interesting. It's just sadly way too reliant on Hina. And
here's the other thing though, man. See if the meta slows down a bit or where Garurumon was out of it.
I think it comes straight up. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't see it slowing down soon.
No, I don't either, because I mean, Blackmore Grey's coming out, and that can evolve into level 6 on turn 2 on 2 memory if you've got the new X Antibody Greymon, which is a ridiculous card.
Brilliant. Then we have Daniel Garcia. Love the podcast, gentlemen. I appreciate the long form and the banter. Makes my commute something to look forward to. Sorry, I can't.
Yay!
A question I would love for you to discuss what Digimon line you'd like to see in the next starter deck or advanced starter decks. Myself, I'd like to see a starter deck surrounding the Palamon line that could be Tekken, Bloomlord / Hydra engine to make it go good. Keep up the great work.
Well, thank you very much for the question, Daniel. We're going to steal it because that'll be our question of the week. What would you like to see as the next starter deck or the next advanced starter deck? A bit on the starter decks for me. I don't like this Beelzemon advanced starter deck that they're bringing out. I don't have anything against Beelzemon or the concept of it, but why is it just the one? Bring out a second one alongside it. I get that it's a more premium competitive deck, but all of the other ones, well, all of the recent ones have felt like those anyway, so I don't really know why they're not doing a second one. I'd like to them bring out something else alongside it, whatever Beelzemon's rival is. Hell, they could have done one for Gargomon and Gallantmon as well, but they've had a lot of support.
My boy Terriermon one, like, I was just thinking about this. I was like, what could I do? Because in my head, I'm literally like, just give me a deck of my favorite Digimon. Give me like a filth deck with Etamon in it and the King Etamon. Give me like Justimon as a deck or something like that. But literally, starter decks are just great ways to dump a shit ton of support on a Digimon at once. And I think I would say Terriermon, to be honest. I'd love to see a Terriermon deck. I think the deck is very interesting with what it does. I love Terriermon, but it just needs a couple of pieces to make it less clunky. Like a big one for me is, so the gimmick, if you don't know what Terriermon is, you suspend Digimon, gain DP, gain advantages, and then attack over them or use effects to bounce them. But there's not really that many cards in the deck that suspend Digimon well. Like the Tamer,
it's just the Tamer, isn't it?
It's the Tamer Henry, right? This is the worst thing. Yeah. The Tamer Henry is when one of your Digimon attacks with Terriermon, Gargomon in its name, right? You can suspend him to suspend any Digimon, which is a very powerful effect in theory. But the issue with it is you can't swing over the Digimon after you've suspended it because the deck doesn't have any way to unsuspend your Digimon, and you have to declare your attack target first. So unless you've got two Digimon in play and their Digimon is something worth swinging over and you've got another one big enough to swing over it, you're not actually going to be able to actually kill it.
The Mega Gargomon on swing bounces are arrested.
Yeah, so that's like the only like good synergy in it. Oh. And then the other issue is that the Mega Gargomon's 5 to evolve into, so you have to be able to evolve into it for 5 and keep turn, and it's jank. But that would be my choice, man, because there's a lot of interesting things you could do with it.
Gargomon is getting a bit of support in the EX4 or something with the Alliance.
Yeah,
thing, which
I've
you
looked
can
at it.
tap one of your guys and your Digimon that's attacking gains its CP or whatever.
Yeah, so it's an interesting new trait, but the issue I have with it is I don't think it actually synergizes particularly well with the old Terriermon stuff. It seems like it's more of a new deck, and a lot of the old Terriermon effects, I went back and read them, are like when an effect suspends your opponent's Digimon, not when your effect suspends a Digimon. So the fact that you're alliancing to suspend one of yours does not trigger half of the inheritables from the old Terriermon stuff.
Yeah, it's not the greatest synergy, is it?
Nah. What would your picks be, boys?
Adam, you go first.
Mine's probably come as a surprise. It's actually Diaboromon. I think that the deck I think it needs a lot more support. It's a classic villain. He's super cool. He has his own unique mechanic. No other mechanic in the game spawns tokens. To the point where the tokens that have been officially printed are just Diaboromons. Like, I think he needs his own starter deck, and I think it needs to be one of these advanced starter decks that fully concentrate on him, and every card is playable. None of this half the deck being filler, so you buy 2 shenanigans. Yeah. It needs to be a full, just, Diaboromon deck, and I think that would be really cool. Because I would love that. Obviously, Bryce, you and I have been playing against each other and bricking heavily for quite some time now, and some of our earliest matches were Diaboromon mirrors, but obviously I fell off at first because I got bored of it because it sucked, and then you eventually did as well. And I would love nothing more to revisit our duel days with some new Diaboromon support.
It's like Diaboromon hasn't been a real deck since set 5, and I hate to say it, but like the EX1 support it got ages ago was good, but it just came in a horrible time.
Yeah. The other good thing is, see if they printed an advanced deck for Diaboromon, they could reprint the promos so that it could be in the hands of every Digimon tamer.
No, but they would reprint the promo in one of those mega ultra rare 1 in 100 chances of getting it forms and it costs £80,000 or something.
I mean, surely the promo's accessible enough now. I'd say
it's pennies. It's pennies.
I'd say reprint the EX1 one before it, because a lot of people didn't get the first expansion because it wasn't that good.
What they need to do is they need to print more Diaboromon support that gives the tokens things. Yeah, you give it Rush, cool. You give them Blocker, cool. It's not enough. They need to give
better generating.
Yeah, they need to be able to generate better tokens. Like there should be a Kurisarimon, whatever the level 5 one is, where it's like when attacking spawn a token. It should 100% be something like that.
Yeah. As like for my start deck, I don't know if this counts as a line, but the Dark Masters from Adventure 1.
Oh yeah.
Where are they? They had like a card each in the first set, and then they were just forgotten about. And I would love a Dark Master Steam deck,
sort of like the Metallic Dramon stuff, like a hard play deck that's based around, or like the 4 Great Dragons, but like the Dark Masters.
Unless they made all of them purple.
Yeah,
they would all be purple in some way.
Because like they built the Machine Dramon deck, and I know it's not built off the Dark Masters one; it's built based on the video game one. But in that case, they could build each Dark Master a deck or something.
Yeah.
For a starter deck, I would love to see something Dark Master.
Yeah, that would be cool. Piedmon used to be a £30 card back in the day.
Yeah. I wasn't playing at the time, but I had one, and it was...
I was, and I wanted to play it, and I couldn't afford it, so I just played for Shine Greymons and stuff instead. But it was quite the pricey card.
Yeah, everything was super dear back then, especially a lot of the SRs, man.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is as well, we've still not had a bloody Apocalypse card.
I was just about to say that as well.
Yeah, that could be the boss of the Dark Master's deck. It could be brilliant.
It would be so sick. There's actually, I think they're really struggling with a lot of support from some of the Adventure 1 Digimon, like some of the classics. Like, your man Daniel there says he wants a Palmon line. We've not really had a Palmon deck or a Lilymon deck. Rosemon's been ass as well. I'm not counting Bloom Hydra, man. That doesn't count.
We had the Izzy starter deck. That was a full Palmon line, as well as Tentomon up into the Rosemons.
Focused on Tentomon, really. Or the if you're saying like you want a Palmon deck, you want to be finishing on Rosemon or having like a relevant Lilymon in there. You know, like I feel like they've really missed their opportunity with having like some form of competitive deck for all the original adventure ones. Like, there's not really been a Patamon deck. There's been, I mean, I guess you can say there's a Gatomon deck now. You know,
I really want and I have wanted a Phoenixmon deck for a while. I think the Phoenixmon Garudamon line is super cool, and there's one coming out in BT11. But instead of it being paired with Sora, is it Sora that's got Beomon? Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of being paired with Sora, it's being paired with Akiho, or however you pronounce her name. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? I don't know you.
It's all quite obscure card. The Tamers from a PSP game that never got localized over here.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, super happy for the Tyrannomon support, but like, I think they should revisit set 1 and redo it, but with all the modern features that the game currently has. So, like, just do the original adventure OG guys, but print the cards better and make them feckin' good.
Yeah, it's hard, man. I mean, they don't really make many. It doesn't feel like there's like gimmicks to a lot of the sets they bring out. They seem like they're changing that a bit now, though, when they're doing the one that's like the across time one where all the pro tags came together, and they're doing like, I think EX4, the idea is like alternate worlds where it's Digimon who are like the same ones that you know and love but slightly different.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, but
yeah. There's another Digimon that's been criminally neglected now that I think about it. The Devimons. Like,
yes. Man, I was playing Malomyotis one at a meme night at Locos last week, and that is one of my favourite decks that's just so ass, it's not even fun.
The EX1 one, EX2 or whatever, I loved the Malomyotismon and the Venommyotismon stuff, and then they just went, meh. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, so many of them are just so ass. It's like, another thing with Digimon that kind of winds me up is, see when you're printing cards, do they not look and compare the power level of all the decks at even like a level by level basis and go, right, okay, this is the example I always use, right? So EX2, they printed all the rookies for the main characters in Digimon Tamers, right? You've got Guilmon, he's a searcher, and also he's got a pretty good inherited. You know, Renomon's a searcher, pretty good inherited. Terriermon, searcher, decent inherited. Then you've got Monodramon. He's a gash searcher, and also he's got no inherited. I'm like, why is this man so far down on the power level? Were they worried that Justimon was going to crack the format open or something? They definitely pick favourites when they make these cards.
Yeah.
Man,
sure. And like they are shaping the meta.
Yeah.
But like it's the same with
need to be worse, but...
It's the same with Gamamon and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I am an average Gamamon fan. I quite like him and his many Digivolutions. But like, oh my god, they have put a Gamamon in every single set since Ghost Game released. Like, we get it. Ghost Game is the main anime at the moment. Give us something else, please.
Still not good.
It's still not good.
Yeah, that's the impressive bit. But don't worry, it looks like he might be getting something in RB1.
Woo.
I'm telling you, RB1 is going to be his time to shine. He's getting a full new line, and it looks good.
Yeah.
It's not copium.
And we'll talk about...
I'm waiting to see the other Mega.
I don't even know when RB1 is coming out. It's going to be soon, though.
End of next year.
No, it's sooner than that. It's going to be before a bunch of our stuff, I think.
Well, it's coming out in June. There's actually a massive worry in the community right now that it's not even coming over here, because EX4 has a release date in Europe and America, but RB1 does not. But RB1's actually scheduled to come out after EX4 in Japan at the minute, so it's probably going to be, end of late year at the earliest, I'd assume.
Well, the RB1 has the security promos that we're still missing.
Oh man, I will see if
I don't think we're getting them.
Comes out. I don't either. I've lost hope, right? I've held on to the copium of them being toppers for too long. I actually now think we are not getting them till Rising Wind comes out.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, man. Because they've had them in Japan for over a year now, and we've still not had them.
Not over a year. They've had them for 2 years now, and we were meant to get them in May, and they just haven't.
Is the game not only 2 years old?
No, the game's 3 years old.
Yeah, 3 years.
What the hell?
I know, right?
Because because it came out. I remember it came out at the end of 2020, didn't it?
Yeah, peak COVID.
That was fun.
But yeah,
times, man.
that's all the comments that we've got. I think we'll start to wrap it up there. Any closing thoughts from yourselves?
Not really. I'm just still enjoying the game. Good to have Bryce on, and I'm looking forward to BT11 coming out. We should play some BT11 games, man.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
The old untap.
And we'll let you know how testing goes, and you'll hear from us again very shortly with some probably finals / BT11 predictions and stuff like that. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube, the Scots TCG YouTube channel, the COB YouTube channel, and you can find us on all your podcast apps and stuff like that as well. Don't forget, answer the question of what sort of starter deck would you like to see, and we'll talk about it on the next episode. Yeah, that's us for the moment, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
All the best, gang. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now.